So when did you? Because I know you have a strong faith now, man, and you dedicated your life to Jesus. What was the final thing that made you like, you know what? I'm done with all this.
When I got to here to Arizona, like I said, I got really into drugs. I was in and out of prison. I had jobs here and there. I was really trying to change my life, but I didn't know how. I had no clue. So I would go to like AA meetings. I would get sober for a couple of months. I would go to rehab, but I would find myself right back into it again. I was very, very insecure, very manipulating, I was a liar, a cheater. My longest relationship would probably be like 3 months. I was never a woman beater, but I always, my words would hurt people. And I would always hurt people first to not give them a chance to hurt me. So I destroyed a lot of relationships in my life, like friends, girlfriends. I have 5 baby mamas, and it's now my kids are all coming back into my life, but it's because they see how different I am now, and like I said, I became a monster just because I was so damaged, and through everything that happened, I got out. I ended up catching another big federal case in Arizona in 2007. I sold 6 keys of coke. I got set up by one of my boys. He came from Chicago, found me in Arizona, and I should have listened to my gut, but I trusted him. Because I was like, what's this dude doing over here in Arizona looking for me? He knows I'm plugged. He knows that I could just make the phone call and get them. So I was like, he wants to get on. He wants to make money, blah, blah, blah. And at the time, I was only messing with weed. I was staying under the radar. I was making money. A lot of the Rough Riders didn't even know that I was doing my thing. Mm-hmm. When I got arrested, it was like a shock to everybody because I always just kept it on the hush. I had a house in Tucson that I would just be back and forth. And I went to prison and got out in 2013, and that's the first time that I was like, okay, I'm gonna change. I had got into really good shape in federal prison, and I was like, all right, so I'm gonna become a personal trainer. I'm gonna open up my own gym, and I did it. A year later, I had my own gym, Alpha Omega Fitness, and then it started happening again. My head started getting big. My ego's been my biggest enemy. Started sleeping around again, started doing drugs again. I was playing cat and mouse games with my PO. Finally, he got tired and he sent me back. I ended up getting sent back to one of the most dangerous prisons in California, Victorville, the USP. I was there for 5 minutes. They were stabbing up this dude for a piece of chicken, stabbing him. They must have stabbed him 30 times. So I'm sitting there eating my chicken, watching this dude get stabbed up, and you have to imagine the scene to the impact that he was trying to crawl up the walls. His handprints were all the way to the roof because he was trying to get away because they were stabbing him so many times. And I'm sitting there eating the chicken. And I'm like, what are you doing back here again? You're 40 years old now. What are you going to do with the rest of your life? I was already tired. I was really, really broken. My guardian angel, it was this big dude. He worked out. He seen my tattoo in the back of my leg, and he's like, "Hey, why you got a 5% tattoo on your leg?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm one of Rich Piana's sponsored athletes." He's like, "Whatever, dude." He's like, "You're in prison." He's like, I'm like, "Nah, for real." He's like, "Yeah, whatever." So he locks me in the cell. He comes back an hour later. He's like, "Yo, I just Googled you." He's like, "You got some videos up there." And I was like, "Yeah, I told you." He's like, "But what are you doing here? You only have a year on a violation." And I was there with lifers. People that had nothing to lose.
Right.
And I tell people, man, when I've been to a lot of dangerous prisons, man, Mexico, here. That yard right there was the scariest yard I've ever been to because as soon as I walked in, I could smell the death. I could feel it. Yeah. I can't explain it, but I could feel it. It scared me. Mm-hmm. So he's like, I talked to the counselor. He's like, you'll be out of here in a month or so. And I was like, for real? He's like, yeah. He's like, before the lockdown's over, you'll be out of here. And I was like, man, thank you, Jesus. Like, man. And I ended up getting sent to, I think it was called Lompoc. It was a minimum security prison. This is the first time I've ever been to a low security prison. Low. I've never seen so many white people in prison. It was all white collar crimes. Wow. It's like I get off the bus and there's grass. They're playing tennis out there, and I'm like, what? Where am I? I felt like I was in a Twilight Zone. You know, they had bocce. Like it looked like a college campus, and there was a lot of white dudes, like all like bankers, you know, stuff like that, where they kept them safe and nice.
Yeah.
Well, I got there and I was there for a year, got out, came home, and I was like, okay, I need to get my life together now because like I don't want to go to prison no more. I did in total amount of time I did 17 years, 3 months, 3 weeks. So like half of my life. Mm-hmm. So I get out, I was like, man, I really want to change. I didn't know how. I was like, I started Googling stuff. How do people change? And it came up, college. So I was like, okay, so I'll go take a college course. So I ended up signing up at the Phoenix College. And I told the lady my whole story that I just got out, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, you should take this class right here. It'll be good. He's a really good professor. And I looked at the name of the class and it said criminal justice. And I was like, wait, who takes that class? She's like, people that want to be cops, social workers, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't think I want to sit next to a cop right now. It's too fresh. She's like, no. She's like, you need to take this class. And for some reason, I felt like a motherly love when she was telling me that. So I said, all right, just sign me up, coach. Like, I'll do it. Mm-hmm. This is where I met John Humphrey. He was a cop for 30 years. He's the guy that disciples me now. And I started going to school, and I met him. I watched him, and he was the real deal. Like, the way he talked and walked, he was the real man of God. So when I graduated, he gave me a devotion book, and he's like, you know, I really wish you could, you know, experience what I'm experiencing. And I'm like, man, don't talk to me. I did way too much stuff to talk about God. He's like, no, for real. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. So fast forward 3 years, I'm being successful. My YouTube's taking off. I'm competing. I hold a couple state records, you know what I mean? I'm competing in powerlifting. My head's getting like this big again. Everybody knows me in the gym. I'm sleeping with all the girls from the gym. I'm making money. So it was almost like I was like they call it dry drunk in AA. You're sober, but you're still making all the same mistakes that you were doing when you were drunk. So same lifestyle, just different means of getting money and all that stuff. My wife ends up at the gym. She was already a Christian. She noticed something in me that most people didn't because I hid. I've always been really good at having different personalities. I know how to hide stuff. And she would always tell me, you need Jesus. And I used to be like, hey, just get out of my face. Like, I don't want to hear that. And she would always, like, I would be on the treadmill and she would come up next to me. And I used to tell her, she's really, like, she's beautiful, you know. She's really beautiful. She's from New Jersey, her accent, everything. I used to be like, you know, I don't care how pretty you are. I wouldn't even look at you because you talk about Jesus too much. And I would walk away. But for some reason, it was the first woman in my life that I never looked at sexually or not in any kind of bad way for some reason. I know why now, but, you know, I started telling her a lot of the things that were done to me as a kid that I had never told nobody because just the drowning alone, how he used to drown me, and I would literally, like, die, bro, and he would bring me back. Like, I would pass out, and then he would do it again. Like, it was complete, like, torture. And me being able to talk to her about that stuff really made a connection. I made a really good connection with her. And, like I said, everything was going fine, and YouTube was making money. I was getting, popular on the whole social media thing. One night I came home and I was like, I mean, is this it? Is that what you do? You go to work, you come home to an empty house, and like you feel, I had like a big hole in my chest. And I was like, I was for sure that I didn't want to go back to prison, so I figured I was just gonna try and kill myself. It wouldn't be I've tried to do it like multiple times before. I've slid my wrist. I've done all kinds of crazy stuff. So I was like, all right, so I'm gonna go get a hot shot. I went and I got it. You know what a hot shot is, right?
No.
It's just a big heroin shot. You hit yourself, you pass it, you overdose, you're done. It's the easiest way. So I went and got it, sat down, and I was like, all right, so this is it. I was almost like saying bye to myself, and I sat by my bed, and for some reason, I decided to call her. I texted her, and I was like, hey, are you up? I wanted to say bye for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And she got on the phone with me, and she knew right away that something was wrong. And she was on me. She was like, I'm going to your house right now. And I was like, nah. And I didn't want nobody to find me like that. So she stayed on the phone with me all night. I didn't do it. The next day I walked into the gym, and she ran up to me and hugged me. This is the first time, I get a little emotional when I say it, but this is the first time that I had let somebody hug me like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me so mad. I wanted to punch her because I felt so vulnerable, so just hurt. After that, we started talking a lot, and we started dating about a month later. I woke up one day and I was like, I think I love you. Like a good, clean love, like not lust, not nothing. And she's like, yeah, I think I love you too. And I was like, well, do you want to be my girlfriend? This is the first time I even asked somebody that. I was like, do you even ask that, or is it like that high school? She's like, no, I think you have to ask me. So I was like, all right, so you want to be my girlfriend? And she's like, yeah, let's see what happens.
How long ago was this?
It was 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
Man.
And we ended up moving in together. This is when COVID happened, so I lost a lot of my clients at the gym. A lot of stuff happened, so we ended up moving together to make it easier on both of us, blah, blah, blah. And she didn't realize how damaged I was until I moved in. Once I moved in, the controlling monster came out. The jealous monster came out. There was holes all over the walls in the house. I had a lot of rage. I didn't trust her. I always thought she was up to something. I didn't trust nobody. I didn't even trust myself. Mm-hmm. And it started taking a toll on her. And she was like, I'm sitting here praying, and she's like, I don't know if I could take this anymore. She's like, I love you, but she's like, I don't know if I could take this anymore. And I'll never forget that day because she was like, do me a favor, watch this movie with me. And I was like, what movie? It's called The Shack. It's like a Christian-based movie.
You know about the movie? It's The Shack?
Man, bro. I watched that movie. I never cried like a little baby in my life, and that movie made me cry.
Where can you find it
It's
online?
on Netflix right now.
Netflix?
It's on Netflix right now.
Okay.
They just put it on there.
The Shack.
The Shack.
Is it spelled? I'm asking because I know it's gonna be a dumbass question, but is it spelled like Shaquille, like SHQ?
No.
CK. Okay.
Yeah. Man, bro, I'm not gonna tell you why. You need to watch it, but
okay.
I watched that movie. I started crying. I hadn't spoke to my mom or my sisters in like years. I called them up. I told my mom I forgave her. That was like a big step for me. Called my dad. I told him I forgave him too. And I was just crying this whole time. Like, I didn't understand what was going on with me. I was feeling all these emotions. I only had two back then. It was mad and really mad. That's all I had. So after that, she was like, you see how you need to have a relationship with God? And I was like, yeah, but I'm going to do it my way. And she's like, all right, whatever, JC. So it wasn't working. My way wasn't working. One day out of nowhere, I just got up and I went downstairs and I just dropped to my knees. I always tell people, I fell to my knees, and for some reason I felt like I needed to confess everything that I had done in my life, because I've done some pretty messed up stuff. I confessed everything, people that I didn't like, people that I wanted to do stuff to. Like, it started coming out, and I was crying. My boogers were coming out. Like, I was a mess. I was sweating. So I get up and I'm like, man, that's like the best pre-workout I've ever had. I was like, now I'm gonna go work out. I went in the garage and it happened again. I fell down to my knees again, and that's where I felt that God was telling me, you're not gonna talk about gangs no more. You're not gonna talk about your cartel life no more. You're not gonna talk about the rap videos. You're gonna talk about what I'm gonna do in your life. And from that day on, you can see the video. I put it up that same day. I told everybody, I was crying like a baby on the video. I ain't gonna talk about my past no more. I'm gonna talk about God. And I stayed faithful from that day on. And like I tell people, I'm a straight soldier. So when I'm in, I'm in. I'm loyal to the core. From that day on, I called John. I told him, hey, I'm ready to get discipled. He put me in school. He comes over once a week, starts, teaching me how to read, what to look for. And I just started like taking it up. I mean, I got my Bible with me. I got my books with me that I'm reading right now. And I'm on it. Everything started changing in my life, man. Like, I had never had peace and joy in my heart. Never. I didn't even know what it felt like. So all this is new to me, and it's coming. It's hitting me left and right. I felt like I was just getting attacked. Like, it just felt crazy, because for 8 months straight, all I did was cry. I would jump in the car, I would cry, because I would remember how much time I spent in transit like this, going somewhere I didn't know. And now I'm driving. So, like, feeling grateful. Like, I started feeling grateful. I started feeling, like, peace. All these things. And I was like, man, how did I go from being a thug to this? I was like, but it felt so good that I wanted more. So then I started studying more. I started hanging around with more Christian brothers. I started going to church. It's a whole process, man. I always tell people, it's a discipline that you need to learn, but man, the payback is priceless.
Yeah, man. Thank you for tapping in with us. In order to see more clips like this, check out this video here or check out this one here.